while she's getting down the road.
While I'm getting down the road. Today's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Yep.
The wind woke me up this morning. Did it wake you all up? I was like, wow, what was that? Oh, I thought it was a dog. For a second, I thought it was the dog. So today I'm going to talk about I got it. I lost it. Anybody feel like that? I got it. I lost it. Like when you walk into a room and you think, why did I come in here? Right.
That's when you push on your butt.
That's when you push on your butt?
Yeah, because if you go back and sit down, you'll remember.
Oh, if you go back and sit down, you'll remember. Push on your butt and it'll bring that memory. But what if I wasn't sitting down?
Oh, well.
Push on your butt.
Push on your butt anyway. Push on your butt anyway. All right, so that's wisdom from Reverend Gail. Push on your butt.
It's very practical.
It's very practical. You're right, George. This week we're looking at the dance between our imaginary sense of identity, or that ego self, and our true divine nature. Who are you, really? Who are you, really? You know, as we're continuing our theme of rising higher and growing deeper this year, we're working on finding in the middle that essence of life, that joy of life, that zest of life, right? And so this week we're going to dive into the theme of total surrender. We're going to redefine conditioning, disidentifying from the ego self, and surrendering without resistance. Are y'all ready for that?
Yes.
Are y'all ready for that? Have you ever been in a place where you think, all right, I'm fine, I've got this. I'm going to go into this meeting and I know what I'm going to do. Or into this situation, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get there, and something happens and you're completely derailed. Yeah? Never. Laura Lee is perfect. She always knows exactly who she is. Don't mess with her. Don't mess with her. I have had that happen where I walk into a meeting or I walk into a situation and suddenly I'm like derailed. What happened? Something got brought up that I wasn't prepared for. I didn't know how to handle it. I start to freak out. I hope it doesn't show on my face. I hope that my RBF doesn't come up. You know, that's that resting bitch face that I have. I try to hide that. I try to just like, oh God, what do I do? Oh, breathe. Breathe. Ground yourself. Breathe. Who are you, Eileen? Who are you? I'm an expression of the divine. I'm an expression of God. Jesus taught this to us, to the Christians. He taught this in the Bible. There is nothing that you can't do. Okay, so ground myself. Ground myself. Commune with my own soul. It's through thy inner thought that I can contact God. Okay, take a breath, Eileen. Take a breath. When things feel a little chaotic, I take a breath. Sylvia sent me this great quote. This is from The Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes says, Jesus spent much of his time communing with his own soul, for it is through our inner thought that we contact God. Our inner thought is where we contact God. And to this remarkable man, out of silence of his own soul came a direct revelation of his oneness with it, with God. Through my soul, I can find that oneness. Breathe, Eileen. Breathe. It's happened a couple of times over the last week or two, where I've got it. I'm going into this meeting, I've got it. And I go into the meeting and I lose it. And I think, you're Reverend Eileen. You have studied for this for 25 years. You can do this. 25 years of actual study, but I was raised in New Thought traditions. I was raised in Science of Mind and the Unity Center, right? The Unity Church. I was raised in this. I know I can change my thinking and change my life. Breathe, Eileen. Then when I get out of the meeting, what do? I call Brigida. I think I called Brigida, what, 5 times this week?
Probably.
Probably. Brigida, pray for me. Pray with me. Reverend Gail, I caught her in the parking lot. Pray with me. Let's pray. She prayed so hard that somebody that didn't know who we were walked by her, saw us in the parking lot, and said to Reverend Gail, I don't know what you were doing with that woman over there, but you are powerful. Right? You are powerful. I reach out to the people that remind me of the truth of who I am. I call and I say, I'm out of sorts. I've forgotten. I've lost it. And then they remember. They remember for me. And then I go, oh, I got it. I got it. So this week, every time I feel like I lost it, I called Brigida. And she said, honey, it's right there. I prayed with Reverend Gail. She reminded me that it was right there. I called my prayer partner. Sylvia sent me a list of all sorts of things that that Ernest Holmes was teaching about Jesus in The Science of Mind, 2 pages, to remind me that I have this power. That Jesus, was the great teacher. He showed us. He was the great, I lost my word.
Example.
He was the great example. He was the way shower. He came to show people what it is that they already knew in their own soul, in their own hearts. Right? So what do I know in my own soul and my own heart? People live from a point of view that has been conditioned by their own experiences, right? By society, by whatever situation surrounds them. If I go into a group of people on the West Coast, heck, in different parts of the West Coast, I'm going to experience people from a different point of view than if I go to the Midwest or the East Coast or the South or the North, right? Everybody has their own experiences. Everybody has their own experiences. You go to Europe, they have their own experiences. I love traveling because I love to just like slide in to where people are and just experience it, right? How do I get to know people? My husband tells me I talk to people too much. He says, do you have to talk to everybody? I said, yes. Because this is how I know where people are in the world. What's going on in the country? I remember going to France 9 years ago, walking through a marché, talking to people, and they'd go, oh, you're American. I'd say, yes. Tell me what you think of Donald Trump. I'd say, tell me what you think. I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm here to talk about your flowers, right? Tell me what you think. They wanted to suss me out. I'd say, I think that he's a spiritual being having a human experience. I said this to one Turkish man in the marché in France, in the south of France, and he looked at me. He went, oh, I like that. He's a spiritual being having a human experience. He's having an experience based on everything that he knows to this moment. Just like Sylvia is. Just like Michael is. Just like Brigida is. Experiencing life through what has come through us, right? So if it's a beautiful world, a threatening world, a liberal or conservative point of view, a point of view of justice or injustice, it just is, right? And sometimes we manage to get out of those imposed conditionings and enter into new conditionings, right? And those are set by our social networks. I talk about my beloved Mark a lot, my husband. Mark has a sense of humor that is very different than mine. Put it that way. And I love it. And I walked in the door last week when I came home from here, or the week before. I went back to that home. And I walked in the door and he was listening to an argument on his phone. He was in the kitchen making himself dinner and he was listening to an argument. And I thought, what is this? And it was somebody arguing with a police officer. And they sounded, to be frank, ridiculous. They were arguing for something ridiculous. And I said to him, what are you listening to? Oh, this person's fighting with this police officer. Da, 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 da. I said, why do you listen to this? Because I think it's funny. I'm like, okay, go unload your car, Eileen, go unload your car. Breathe, Eileen, breathe, right? That's his conditioning. That before we got back together, for those who don't know, we dated when I was a teenager and now we're married, but there was a big gap in between, right? Before, that was his life. That was his life. He was a little rough around the edges. He was not doing things that were quite legal. He was, racing his car and just, that was his life. And he's shifting beautifully. And I love all of him, those parts and the current part, right? And yet, when I walk in the door and I hear that, I go, breathe, Eileen, breathe. What's the truth of who you are? When I'm breathing, I'm inviting that stillness to come forth. That stillness to clear my mind of my judgments and my breathe. You can pay attention to the cat and the parrots who are hollering at you and the dog that's running around because he's excited to see dad. Right? You can focus on that. You don't have to listen to what he's playing in the kitchen. Go about your business. Just go about your business. It'll be fine, right? I have to get out of the me and the I and my little ego, that's that human part of me, and allow the voice of the one to come through. We have to be willing to blindly release. Oh my gosh, I'm going to use another Bible quote. John 20:39 says, blessed are those who have not seen and have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and have believed. There's so much wisdom in that. So much wisdom in that. Wayne Dyer says, I'll believe it. I'll see it when I believe it. I'll see it when I believe it. Oh, that's powerful, right? I'll see it when I believe it. So that means that we have to blindly surrender. We have to just surrender our ideas. We have to surrender what it will look like. We've been working in the visioning class on that. Surrendering our own little ego, letting go of our own personal thoughts and ideas and allowing the voice of the divine to speak through us. It's been a fantastic experience. I love this class, and I think everyone who's taking it is really enjoying it. Nod at me if you're enjoying it. Okay, thank you. We only have 1 week left. I hope they're enjoying it. It's about letting go of preconceived ideas and allowing that to come through. We're going to start doing this as a community. Visioning for the greatest good for Mendocino Center for Spiritual Living and seeing what happens, seeing what comes through. There's something great in visualizing. Like, I do my vision boards every year. It's fun. I often will do my vision boards and then put them away. Why? Because I want to look at the end of the year and see what has come through. Because I've set forth the vision, I've set forth an idea, but I don't want to be forced to do anything that might shift for me. So I put them away. Or I put them, I might hang it somewhere where I'll see it, but it's not right in my face. Right now it's in the hallway to my bathroom. What happens is every year I go back and I look at it and I go, oh, that happened, that happened, that happened, that happened, that happened. Oh, not quite, that happened, that happened, that happened. And then if I go back a few years, like that not quite shifted into something more spectacular that I'd have no idea what was happening. Those are awesome. Visioning, on the other hand, is opening yourself up, grounding yourself, centering yourself, opening up yourself to the vision that is. Ernest Holmes teaches that we are always connected to that there is no original thought. It's all coming through the divine. It's already been thought of by the great one, God, whatever you want to call it. It's already been thought. We just get to catch the wave and surf it in. Right? So when we all do that together as a community, some of the great things come up. Suddenly you're saying, I caught a vision of this, and then the person next to you went, I did this. I got the same thing. I was sharing the class. I was in a visioning session with practitioners at the San Jose Center for Spiritual Living, and I got pink balloons, and I thought, well, why would I get pink balloons in my vision? In my visioning? Why would pink balloons show up? I thought, I'm not even going to say that. That's just ridiculous. But then when it came to sharing what shows up for us, because, you record these things and then you watch for themes over time. 3 people in the room got pink balloons. None of us knew why. I don't remember what manifested out of that. But it's about listening to the word of the one, right? That's the blindly releasing. We do this as spiritual mind practitioners. You are all practitioners, right? Because you're practicing the teachings of Ernest Holmes. The 5th step of spiritual mind treatment, we release our word to the law, knowing with certainty that our word has been cast upon the canvas of life. We don't go back and snoop around. We don't, it's like going and dropping a letter in the mailbox, right? When you drop a letter in the mailbox, do you go sit in your car and wait for the mail person carrier to come and see if they pick it up? Do you stalk the mail carrier and follow them to the post office and the sorting center? Do you follow that piece of mail to where it's going? No. You drop it and you trust that it's going to get to where it's supposed to get. It's the same thing with prayer. It's the same thing with prayer. We pray, we say thank you, we affirm what it is that we are accepting into our lives, and then we let it go. Knowing that it's already done in the mind of God. There's a great book called Treat and Move Your Feet. That means that you do your spiritual mind treatment, and then you start walking in the direction of where you want to go. If I was to pray, do treatment for, I don't know, pick something. Anything.
Balanced budget.
If I was to do treatment for a balanced budget, and then I go out and I go on a spending spree, what do you think is going to happen? My budget's not going to balance. But if I do treatment for a balanced budget and then I start walking in the direction of a balanced budget, what's going to happen?
It's gonna balance.
It's going to balance. Right. Right. We treat and we move our feet. We let it go. We trust that it will be. It already is. It's done. So, before it goes, I wanted to talk about the quote in this week's email. Eckhart Tolle. Has anybody ever read Eckhart Tolle? Have you read a book of his all the way through?
We did a class.
Did you understand it the first time? Okay, George is a smarty pants. He said yes. I want to tell you.
I read Thomas Troward.
Oh, you read Troward. Yeah, you can read Troward and get it the first time. I love Troward. I had the opportunity years ago when I worked at Facebook on the Protect and Care engineering team. Every once in a while, you'll see me wearing a sweatshirt that says Protected Care on it. That was that team. My boss was invited to speak at a conference, a little tiny conference that had just started up. It was like its second year. It was in Redwood City at a hotel. It was called Wisdom 2.0. And I said, Arturo, I want to hear what you're speaking about. And he said, oh, yeah, come. I said, when are you speaking? He says, I don't know, go to their website, wisdom2.0.com or .org or whatever, and look it up. And I said, okay. I go in there and I'm looking at the agenda and I see Arturo Behar is speaking at this time. Before that is a break. Before that is Eckhart Tolle. Wait, hold on. My engineering director boss is speaking at a conference where Eckhart Tolle is speaking? I gotta see this. I said, I would really like to be there early. I'll stand at the back. I don't care, but I want to hear what Eckhart Tolle says. The man speaks really slow, right? Jim?
Yes.
Yes, he speaks very slowly and deliberately. And at first I was like, because you know, my brain, when working with engineers, my brain goes like this and in 50 directions, and I know what's going on behind me, in front of me, above me, below me, on each side, and in my, right? I had to slow down. I actually had to go sit on the floor by the sound booth so I can listen. I had to close my eyes so I can listen, and he would say things that would make it go, And the quote in this week's newsletter is one of those. So let's talk about it real quick. He says in his book, Stillness Speaks, when you recognize that there is a voice in your head that pretends to be you and never stops speaking, you are coming out of the unconscious identification with the stream of thoughts. When you notice that voice, you realize that you are not the voice, the thinker, but the one who is aware of it. Freedom lies in knowing yourself as the consciousness behind the voice. Let's break that down. When you recognize that there is a voice in your head that pretends to be you and never stops speaking, you are coming out of the unconscious identification with the stream of thoughts. Anybody have a voice in their head that just goes all day long? Constant. It's normal. It's normal. When you recognize that that voice is still going, you then become aware of the thought. You become aware of the thought that's going on, right? When you notice that voice that's going on in your head, that you notice that you are not the voice, the thinker, but the one who is aware of that. Kind of like in mindfulness practice, right? When you do a breath-focused mindfulness practice and you're breathing, and you notice that suddenly your mind wanders, that part of you that notices it, that is the part that he's talking about. The part that's aware. Oh, my mind is wandering. Bring my awareness back to my breath. That's what he's talking about. You're the one that is aware that your thoughts are wandering. Freedom lies in knowing yourself as the consciousness, as that part that goes, oh, hey, my thoughts are wandering. That's where the freedom lies. In knowing that the thoughts that are just going or may not necessarily be the truth of who you are. It's just our minds running. Because, you know, our brains were set to constantly be looking out for danger. We got to look out for that saber-toothed tiger, right? So our brain is constantly thinking and there's constantly something going on. It's when we can be aware of that and step back and go, oh, that's the part of my mind that is protecting me. And that's okay. Let's go with the part that's recognizing that. Does that help? Does that help? Eckhart Tolle, in a sentence, you got to break him down. You got to break him down. First time I read A New Earth, I was twisted. My brain was twisted. I was studying it with my friend, Reverend Kathleen Nichols. And I would call my mother, and Kathleen Nichols and I were reading it, Reverend Kathleen and I were reading it together. We were doing a private book study, the three of us, and we would all get all twisted up. And it was always my mother that could figure it out. And we'd both look at my mom and go, wow, that was awesome, right? My mom was always the one that could figure it out. So trust it. Trust that part of you that recognizes the chitter chatter that's going on. So this week I invite you to explore this phrase, I had it, I lost it. or the idea of struggle between our imaginary sense of identity, the ego self, and our true divine nature lies. Because I tell you, there was a few times when I called Brigitte this week where I was in my righteousness. I was not happy. I was battling. I was arguing. And she said, hold on, let's just bless this. Breathe, Eileen. Breathe. And here's what I know. That what she and I are working on is coming to fruition. And when I forget, I can call her, or I could call Gail, or I could call Sylvia, or I could call Davy. I could call Catherine, I could call Jim. I could call Warren. I could call any one of you, and you will remind me of the truth, right? That there's only one God, common to all, in and through all things, and its nature is love. And so it is.